I supported my girlfriend through her PhD, and afterward, she broke up with me, claiming my education was too low for us to have meaningful conversations. The man holding her waist had a face full of mockery, and I swung a punch, knocking off his pretentious LV sunglasses. 9 years of love, reduced to this. Breaking up is fine, but with interest. Pay me back. Chapter 1. Damien clambered up, clutching his fist, and yelled angrily, "Mario, are you crazy? Do you know how expensive these sunglasses are?" I sneered. Of course I know, considering they were bought with my salary. As soon as I said that, Susan's face darkened. The other patrons in the cafe began glancing in our direction. She must have felt embarrassed, as she quickly pulled Damien and lowered her voice. "Mario, stop causing a scene." Causing a scene? I sat back down, gazing at the once familiar, now utterly foreign face across from me with amusement. What? Did I say something wrong? He's just an ordinary sophomore from a regular family. Where'd he get the money for luxury goods? That hit a sore spot for Susan. She looked at me, her eyes filled with disappointment. "Mario, you've changed. Since when did you become so materialistic and bitter?" I almost laughed out loud. Susan and I were classmates in college, both hailing from a small, rural county. As fellow hometown folks and classmates, we naturally knew each other better than others, and that's how we ended up together. Her father passed away early, and her mother raised her alone. After college, she said she wanted to continue her studies, but her mother was in poor health and couldn't afford to support her further education. So, I chose to work. She mentioned many times that once she completed her PhD, we would settle down together in the city. But the first thing she did after graduating was to dump me. From freshman year until now, 9 whole years. What seemed solid was, in fact, fragile. Damien looked like he wanted to fight, but in the end, he just turned to Susan and, feigning concern, asked softly, "Susan, are you hurt?" Susan shook her head, smiled at him, and then turned back to me with a cold expression. "Mario, it's true that I've wronged you, but we're not right for each other, and continuing this will only hurt us both. Don't worry, I'll pay back all the money you spent on me over the years." I pulled a piece of paper out of my pocket and handed it to her. "Good. Here's the detailed list, with the total at the bottom. Transfer it to my Alipay. It's convenient." Susan's face froze for a moment. Damien glanced at the paper and couldn't help raising his voice. "Why is it so much?" I was out of patience, so I pressed Susan, "Including interest, right? That's reasonable, isn't it?" Susan patted Damien and whispered to calm him down. "It's fine. I just received my relocation bonus. This amount is nothing." "Ha, relocation bonus," I scoffed, confirmed the payment, and Susan visibly relaxed. Damien pulled her into his arms and gave me a provocative smile. "Brother Mario, you should start thinking about yourself now. After all, at your age, a man with nothing to his name isn't exactly appealing to women." I raised my chin slightly. "Thanks for the advice, but those sunglasses need to be returned. And that shirt, bought with my money. Right, it's summer, so keep it on. It's not appropriate to strip. Consider it payment for helping me dispose of the trash." Chapter 2. Her expression must have been priceless. Lucas, my roommate and colleague, burst out laughing, forgetting the face mask on his face. "Ha ha ha. Mario, I've always thought that woman wasn't worth all your effort. A trashy girl with a pretty boy, what a perfect match. You deserve so much better." I pointed at the sunglasses still lying on the table. "Didn't you mention before that you had a way to deal with these? Help me get rid of them." Lucas nodded repeatedly. Yes. These sunglasses are filthy now. We'll get new ones." I shook my head, uninterested. "Mario, seriously, you should treat yourself better." Lucas looked me up and down. "You never even order delivery over 20 yuan, and your clothes are always cheap. Do you think that's fair to your face and body?" I spread my hands helplessly. "I just don't have the money." Lucas's expression grew complicated. "Damn, you're the top performer in the company, the recognized workaholic, the one who works the hardest. If you say you don't have money, then what does that make the rest of us?" I sighed. "I've had my eye on a small apartment. You know the housing prices around here, so I'm really tight on cash." Lucas looked like he was ready to throw a punch. "You're trying to provoke me, right? We joined the company at the same time, and now you're already looking to buy a place." It wasn't a new thought. I had been looking at houses for a while, thinking Susan and I would settle down after she graduated. Turns out it was all wishful thinking. So, I quickly picked a different small apartment in another neighborhood. With my savings over the past few years and a little help from my parents, it should be doable. She even gave me her relocation bonus. I might as well make use of it. Lucas gave me a thumbs up. "Mario, you're a legend." It seemed like Susan had completely disappeared from my life, and the pain I anticipated never really came. The moment I saw her holding Damien's hand in front of me, I had already severed all ties with her. "But seriously, Mario, it's time you thought about finding someone new. Why hang yourself on one tree?" On the subway, Lucas continued his brainwashing. I remained calm. I'm only interested in getting rich. Women, no interest. Lucas grinned. What if I introduce you to a few? They've got great qualifications. Trust me, bro, I know my stuff. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a slender figure standing to my right, her silky black hair casually draped behind her. With a delicate nose and elegant features, she looked like she was barely in her 20s. Despite wearing the simplest white dress, she somehow carried an air of sophistication. I nodded slightly and casually remarked, "See that girl? If they're not as pretty as her, I'm not interested." Lucas seemed eager. "All right, then The girl must have sensed something and suddenly turned her head to look in our direction. Her profile was already stunning, but her full face, that unexpected beauty nearly knocked me off balance. Since when were there so many gorgeous women in the world? Thankfully, she quickly looked away and went back to her phone. I inexplicably breathed a sigh of relief. Lucas also caught a glimpse of her face and flipped me the middle finger. "You've got some nerve. I guess you're destined to die alone." Getting caught making such comments is embarrassing, no doubt, but who would have thought the beauty would get off at the same stop, head in the same direction, and eventually enter the same company? The manager greeted me with a grin. "Hey, Mario, this is Katerina. She's new to the company, and you'll be mentoring her." Me. "Can I turn back time now? Is it too late?" Chapter 3. The manager smiled again. "Katerina, this is a great opportunity. You should make the most of it and learn from Mario." "I understand. Thank you, manager." "Thank you." Not only was Katerina stunning, but her voice was pleasant too. She glanced over at me with her big, beautiful eyes. I cleared my throat. "Hello, I'm Mario." She smiled softly. "Thank you, Mario." The news of the new beauty in the company spread like wildfire, and by noon, everyone had heard about it. My WeChat was flooded with messages from colleagues, all fishing for information about Katerina. Of course, there was one exception. "Lucas, you know what we call destiny. Such a beautiful girl. Mario, go for it." Me, "I still want to remain human, thanks." Katerina, 22 years old, graduated from one of the top 2 finance programs in the country. And don't even get me started on that face and those long legs. The most important thing in life is to know one's place. Lucas, however, didn't care. "She's only 5 years younger than you. If Susan can date a sophomore, why can't you go for this younger girl? If you just put some effort into yourself, you'd have no trouble winning her over." I ignored him, and as it was almost lunchtime, I went with a few colleagues to take Katerina out for lunch. We usually eat around here. There are plenty of good spots on the 2nd and 3rd floors. We sat down at a self-service restaurant we frequented, and the place was buzzing with customers. Though Katerina was new, she had a great personality, not overly chatty, but she could keep up with any conversation. Being around her felt comfortable. It was clear she had been raised well. Everyone warmed up to her quickly. I stood by the fruit section with a small plate in hand when Katerina approached. I had been wanting to clear the air with her since the morning, but the company gossip mill was relentless. Now was my chance. "Katerina." She turned and smiled. "Mario, what do you like? I can get it for you." TCH. Kids these days are so good at this. Pineapple. "Thanks," I said, glancing at her. "And about this morning on the subway, I was just joking. Don't take it seriously, all right?" Katerina placed a small plate of pineapple in front of me and smiled. "I won't." Then she asked, "Do you want some lychees?" I turned to see the server had just brought out a fresh batch of lychees and nodded. Sure, the food didn't really matter, but since she was being so gracious, I might as well indulge. Just then, a voice filled with surprise broke the mood. "Mario?" I frowned, my good mood evaporating, and turned around. Of course, it was Susan and Damien. Susan looked at me, then at Katerina, and her face darkened. A new girlfriend. Chapter 4. How amusing. That tone. Like she was catching someone cheating. Who does she think she's talking to? I smiled coldly. "This has nothing to do with you, does it? You didn't ask for my opinion when you found a new boyfriend, did you?" Susan froze. Thanks to some mutual friends, I knew that just after breaking up with me, Susan was already flaunting her new relationship on social media. Not to mention, even before the breakup, Damien had personally sent me pictures of him and Susan kissing. Susan glanced at Katerina again. "Mario, I'm saying this for your own good. Although we've broken up, I still want you to be happy. Don't let someone with ulterior motives deceive you." I nodded in agreement. "You're right. Once someone gets hurt, they tend to learn a lesson." Susan's face changed, and she looked like she wanted to say more, but Damien pulled her back. His expression was worse than when his precious LV sunglasses hit the ground. Susan seemed to snap out of it, realizing she'd said too much to me. Amid the tense atmosphere, a soft voice chimed in. "Mario, should I get you another plate of shrimp?" Katerina's gentle tone carried a hint of warmth, and it seemed like she didn't care about the awkward targeting or pay any attention to the couple. What a great assist. I immediately replied, "Sure." Anything you pick, I'll like. Susan, looking pale, was pulled away by Damien. I turned to Katerina. Sorry about that. You got dragged into this. Katerina smiled lightly. It's no problem. Back at the table, Lucas nudged me with his elbow and whispered, Mario, I just saw that couple, but they didn't seem right. Looked like they were arguing. They left before they even touched their food. I picked up a crawfish and mused. Must be what happens when money makes you irrational. Back in college, Susan was just a poor student. Her living expenses barely covered her needs, and we mostly ate in the cafeteria. Later, when she started her PhD, her stipend increased, but I felt bad for her working so hard, so I never let her pay for anything. I'd even send her money so she could focus on her studies. All that money ended up benefiting another man. Lucas snorted. I thought it was true love. Guess it's not all that. I wasn't interested in continuing the conversation. Instead, I focused on grilling some meat for the group and pushed a plate of lychees toward Katerina. Judging by her earlier question, she probably liked them. Katerina blinked, smiled softly, and thanked me. As it turned out, exceptional people excel at everything they do. Katerina picked up work quickly. Most of the time, she didn't even need my guidance to do things perfectly. I started to feel like my role as her teacher was unnecessary, but not completely unnecessary, because the guys who wanted to pursue Katerina had started trying to get to me first. Mario, help us out. We're not asking for much, just find out what kind of guy she likes. I was a bit surprised. From my time working with her, I thought Katerina had a pretty nice personality, but judging by what they said, it seemed like she wasn't interested in dating at all. She had this subtle air of aloofness, which made them hesitant to approach her directly. So, they all turned to me for help. I waited for a quiet moment to ask her myself. Katerina. Katerina turned her head toward me. I coughed and leaned in a little. Do you have a guy you like? Her single status had become an open secret on her first day at the company. Katerina blinked in surprise, not answering immediately. Then I noticed her ears turning red. Chapter 5. She didn't need to say anything. I already knew the answer. So, you're not with him? I was curious and puzzled. With everything Katerina had going for her, which guy could possibly resist if she made a move? Katerina spoke softly. No. I don't know if he would like me. Who would have thought that such a stunning woman could have a secret crush? If Katerina didn't have someone she liked, I could have helped set her up. But since she had her heart set on someone, it wasn't my place to intervene. Why not? I couldn't help but ask. With your looks, wouldn't he fall for you instantly? Katerina's beautiful eyes seemed to sparkle as she stared at me. Mario, do you really think so? Of course. It wasn't just me, who in the entire company wouldn't agree. If you like him, go after him. What kind of man could resist you? Or, if you tell me the situation, I could help you figure things out. I was genuinely curious. What kind of guy could capture Katerina's heart and make her so unsure of herself? Katerina's pretty red lips pressed together as if she was hesitating. I got ready to listen eagerly, but before she could respond, the manager walked over. Mario, you and Katerina need to visit the client this afternoon. I gestured in acknowledgement. Got it. By the time we were done with the client, it was already dusk. As we entered the subway station, I heard a loud commotion up ahead. I glanced over and saw an elderly woman holding onto a young girl, yelling about something. Apparently, the woman had tried to sneak into the subway by following close behind the girl, who noticed and said something. This caused the old lady to lose her temper, grabbing the girl and refusing to let her go. My daughter's a PhD. She's rich. Why would I need to sneak in without paying? You, on the other hand, dressed like that at your age, no decency, and now you're slandering me. In reality, the girl was just wearing a normal t-shirt and shorts. Who would have thought the old lady would turn the situation around like that, driving the girl to tears? Eventually, subway staff came and persuaded the old woman to leave. Katerina walked over and handed the crying girl a tissue. As we left the subway, Katerina looked at me thoughtfully. That old lady, Mario, do you know her? Of course I did. How could I not recognize Susan's mom? So, Susan had already brought her over. But judging by how feisty she looked, it didn't seem like she was as sick as Susan had made her out to be. In fact, she seemed full of energy while shouting at people. I don't know her. I shook my head. Back at the office, since I wanted to submit the proposal as soon as possible, I decided to stay and work late. Katerina, you can head home. I'll finish this up. Katerina glanced at my screen. I don't have anything else to do tonight, so if you need help, just let me know. I hesitated for a moment, then agreed. With Katerina's help, I'd definitely finish a lot faster. I'll treat you to dinner afterward. Katerina smiled and sat down next to me. Sounds good. Time passed slowly, and colleagues gradually left the office. By 10:20 p.m., the work was finally done, and Katerina and I prepared to leave. Bang! Suddenly, the lights went out, and we were surrounded by darkness, a blackout. Katerina, The power's out. Let's take the stairs down. Before I could finish, I noticed something was off with Katerina. In the darkness, her breathing grew heavy, and her body stiffened, completely motionless. Katerina. Worried, I reached out to her. Her hand was ice cold and trembling slightly. In the next moment, she grabbed my hand tightly, her voice shaky and hoarse. Mario. Chapter 6. Something was off with Katerina. She was gripping my hand tightly, her palm slick with sweat. I hesitated for a moment before squeezing her hand back. Katerina. Let's go down. In the darkness, I could barely make out Katerina looking at me. After a brief pause, she nodded. With the elevator out of service, we walked down floor by floor from the 10th story. By the time we reached the ground floor, the lights outside finally cast some illumination over us. It was as if Katerina snapped out of a daze. She lowered her gaze to our clasped hands and quickly let go. Thank you, Mario. Under the dim light, her ears seemed to have a reddish tint. I smiled, not pressing the issue. As long as you're okay, I'll head out. Katerina looked like she wanted to say something, but in the end, she just nodded in silence. On my way home, I couldn't help but think back to how Katerina had looked earlier. Was she afraid of the dark? But it didn't seem like it was just that. Still, it was her personal matter, and I wasn't going to pry. Mario? At the sound of the voice, I frowned, seeing Susan suddenly appear in front of me, which instantly annoyed me. Why wouldn't she leave me alone? I kept walking forward, but she caught up anyway. Mario, I need to talk to you. I stopped, glaring at her with impatience, only now noticing that she looked pretty worn out, as if she hadn't slept well. Susan, do you not understand what breaking up means? Susan sighed. Mario, it's not like that. I just wanted to talk. I'm so stressed at home. What does that have to do with me? But Susan kept talking. My mom came. She doesn't like Damien. And Damien, he got into a fight with her. And now he barely talks to me. He's nothing like you were. As she spoke, she seemed to get even more agitated. I thought he'd understand, but who knew? Ha! With her mom's temper, what man could put up with that? I couldn't help but chuckle at her. Susan, showing up late at night to badmouth your current boyfriend to your ex. That's pretty creative. Instead of getting angry, Susan looked oddly pleased. Mario, you're jealous, aren't you? What? I knew it. After all the time we were together, there's no way you could just forget. Lately, I've been thinking about you. As she spoke, Susan reached out, trying to hug me. I recoiled in disgust. Susan, try touching me, and see what happens. Tears welled up in her eyes. I can't live without you. Mario, let's get back together. Okay. Before I could respond, a calm, cold voice interrupted from the side. No. Chapter 7. Me. Katerina, what are you doing here? Susan glared at Katerina, her eyes darting between the two of us. This is between Mario and me. Since when does an outsider like you get to interfere? What right do you have to say that? My stomach churned. Don't call me that. I cut her off coldly. It disgusts me. Susan's face turned pale, as if my words hurt her more than Katerina's. She murmured in disbelief. No, that's impossible. You used to love me. Playing the part, I walked over to Katerina and put my arm around her shoulders. She's my girlfriend. So of course, she has the right to say that. Katerina stiffened for a moment but didn't push me away. Looking at Susan, I said each word clearly. I was blind to waste so much time on you, but now I've found someone I truly care about. Please don't disturb us anymore. We were classmates, and I'd rather not make things ugly. Susan's face twisted in humiliation and anger, her eyes red as she bit her lip hard. As I spoke, I discreetly squeezed Katerina's shoulder, signaling her to play along. After a brief pause, Katerina tilted her head and gently leaned against my chest. Susan cried and ran off. It wasn't until she disappeared from sight that I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The silence around us made the soft warmth of Katerina's presence all the more noticeable. That's when I realized how close we were, and I quickly stepped back. Katerina blinked, lowered her head, and brushed her hair aside, revealing her slightly flushed ears. An awkward silence settled between us. I cleared my throat. Thanks for your help today. If it weren't for you, this could have gotten messy. Katerina shook her head. It's no big deal. If she bothers you again, just let me know. I doubted Susan would have the nerve to come back, but still. By the way, what I said earlier. Katerina glanced up at me, her eyes sparkling like stars. I explained awkwardly. I only said you were my girlfriend to make her give up. I hope you don't mind. The light in Katerina's eyes dimmed. After a moment, she forced a smile and said, It's okay. I'm glad I could help. Another suffocating silence fell between us. I broke it first. It's late. Let me walk you home. It's not safe for a girl to be out alone. Katerina didn't refuse. When we reached her apartment building, I thanked her again. Thanks again for today. Katerina shook her head. You're being too polite. Mario, I'll head up now. You should get some rest too. I watched until the light in her apartment turned on before heading home. By the time I got back, It was late. Lucas was sprawled on the couch working on a project and casually asked, "Hey, Mario, what took you so long tonight?" For some reason, I felt a bit guilty, so I made up an excuse and went straight to my room. My phone pinged. It was a message from Katerina. "Good night, Mario." Chapter 8. I rubbed my face, forcing myself to calm down. "Mario, get a grip. Just because a ridiculously beautiful girl helped you out doesn't mean anything." She was just being polite, nothing more. After taking a deep breath and settling down, I finally picked up my phone to respond. After editing and deleting several drafts, I finally sent a single message, "Good night." It was a small matter, but I still didn't sleep well that night. I decided that from now on, I needed to keep my distance from Katerina. If nothing else, spending too much time with someone like her would make it hard not to fall for her. I still wanted to keep things professional. All the way to work, I rehearsed in my head what to say to Katerina to keep things natural. But when I got to the office, she wasn't there. "Katerina called in sick today, didn't you know, Mario?" My heart sank. Sick? How could she suddenly be sick out of nowhere? For some reason, I thought back to Katerina's reaction during the blackout last night. Sitting at my desk, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. In the end, I sent her a message, "Katerina, are you sick?" A few minutes later, Katerina replied, "It's nothing serious, just a little cold." I sighed with relief. "Good. Make sure to rest." Katerina sent back a bunny emoji nodding its head. I stared at the screen for a moment, then couldn't help but laugh. Somehow, I could imagine her being all cute and obedient as she typed it out. "Mario, what are you laughing at?" I didn't even notice Lucas had snuck up behind me. I instinctively locked my screen. "Nothing. Just goofing off and watching a funny video." Lucas smirked teasingly. "What are you hiding from me? Spill it. Something's going on, isn't it?" My heart skipped a beat. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm just focused on making money. Who has time for anything else?" Lucas stroked his chin. "True." I shooed him away, feeling oddly guilty. The next day, Katerina was back at work. Seeing that she seemed fine, I was relieved. But then I started to wonder if I'd been thinking too much about her lately. It just didn't feel appropriate. So, for the next while, I quietly reduced my interactions with Katerina. Aside from necessary work-related conversations, I barely spoke to her. There were a few times when Katerina seemed like she wanted to talk, but she never got the chance. One morning, I arrived at the office to find a small, beautifully wrapped gift box on my desk, for me. Curious, I opened it and found a delicate, rabbit-shaped cake inside. A coworker gasped from nearby. "Wow, Mario, that cake's from a really expensive bakery. Custom ones like this start at 4 figures. And a little bunny. Does someone know you were born in the year of the rabbit? Who's chasing after you? They must really care." Chapter 9. Damn, it's so expensive. However, after asking around for a while, I still couldn't figure out who sent it. I hesitated and set the cake aside, planning to call the store later. When I looked up, I saw Katerina. She walked over, her gaze sweeping over the cake. Suddenly, I had a realization and pulled her closer. "Katerina, did you send this cake?" Katerina didn't seem to expect me to be so direct. She coughed lightly and simply asked, "Do you like it?" "Did you really send it?" I frowned. "This is too expensive." It was almost equivalent to her entire month's internship salary. "I appreciate the gesture, but we should return this cake." Katerina paused for a moment, then smiled. "Mario, you can't return a custom-made birthday cake." "Huh? That's true, and Mario has taught me so much lately. Consider this a token of appreciation." "Please, don't be modest." Katerina spoke naturally. "Or, do you not like it?" "I do." With such heartfelt effort, how could I say I didn't like it? Besides, the little bunny was indeed adorable, just like someone I knew. "Wait. Mario, calm down." Katerina's eyes lit up. "As long as you like it, Mario." I sighed. "Next time, don't be so extravagant. You should save this money for yourself." Although Katerina appeared well-mannered, her clothes and accessories were modest, not what you'd expect from a wealthy family. This cake seemed way too lavish. Katerina chuckled. "As long as you like it." The money was well spent. Meeting her gaze, I clearly heard my heartbeat quicken. Instinctively, I looked away. In the past, I used to carefully pick gifts for Susan, but I rarely received any in return, especially ones so thoughtfully given. However, Katerina's gift was far too valuable. Her birthday wasn't for another half a year. After much thought, I gave her a return gift 3 days later. "Katerina, congratulations on your 1-month anniversary at work." Inside was a bottle of perfume I had carefully selected after consulting several guides. I figured a girl like her would appreciate it. Katerina opened the box, but her smile faltered slightly. I quickly asked, "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" Katerina looked up. "Mario, do you really have to keep such strict accounts with me?" Chapter 10. It was obvious this gift upset her. I laughed awkwardly. "What do you mean? I'm practically your mentor. Isn't it appropriate for me to give a small gift? Saying this, I gave her a thumbs up. Out of all the newcomers I've trained, you rank at the top, little sister. Katerina quietly watched me. She was smart. She could clearly grasp the meaning behind my words. After a moment, she lowered her gaze, looking at the gift box. So, if it were someone else, would you have given them a gift too, Mario? I clicked my tongue. Not necessarily. She looked up, her dark eyes clear, holding an unspeakable emotion. It was as if she was waiting for something. I deliberately lowered my voice. What I gave you is better than what I'd give anyone else. The light in Katerina's eyes dimmed. After a long pause, she packed up the gift, forcing a smile despite her evident disappointment. I understand. Thank you, Mario. That matter was like a small pebble thrown into the river, causing a few ripples. But soon everything returned to normal. We continued working together as usual. But after that day, it felt like an invisible barrier had formed between Katerina and me. This feeling was subtle, but unmistakable. She soon became fully capable of handling work independently, achieving impressive results. A woman working earnestly often radiates a special charm, and Katerina was no exception. Given her single status, it was no surprise that bold and passionate men frequently pursued her. In the mornings, her desk was often adorned with various delicate gifts, but they all quickly disappeared. Perhaps she returned them, or maybe she kept them, but none of it had anything to do with me. That weekend, I moved into a new place. The landlord had recently renovated the apartment but hadn't lived there yet, which was convenient for me. Just after getting off work, I received a call from my mom. As I carried my bag out the door, I listened to her talk. After some casual conversation about the apartment and my job, she hesitated and said, Mario, I ran into an old friend recently. She said her daughter works in the same city as you, at a bank. It's a stable job, and she's doing well. Do you want to meet her? I paused. Mom, I don't want to go on a blind date right now. My mom hesitated, then softly asked, Mario, be honest with me. Are you still not over Susan? A wave of exhaustion washed over me. Hearing her cautious tone, I rubbed my temples. No, I'm just tired today. I'll arrange to meet her sometime. My mom eagerly agreed. After hanging up, I looked up and unexpectedly met Katerina's gaze. She stood there, her expression calm. I wasn't sure how much she had overheard. Chapter 11. I smiled and nodded at her but didn't say anything. Ding. We entered the elevator together. It was just the two of us, yet the air felt thin. I kept my eyes glued to my phone, switching between different apps, feeling like the elevator was taking forever today. Mario, are you going on a blind date? Katerina broke the silence. I could only nod. Yeah. Does she like you? Her question caught me off guard. We haven't met yet, but my mom says she's nice. Katerina stared at me, unrelenting. Do you like her? That doesn't matter. I looked away. And besides, this is my personal business, Katerina. It has nothing to do with you. Katerina took a step forward, as if trying hard to suppress something, her eyes flashing with an unspeakable hint of grievance. Nothing to do with me. Yes, I'm nothing. Whoever you want to see, whoever you want to be with, has nothing to do with me, but can't I at least ask? I frowned. Katerina. It was as if she didn't hear me. She stepped closer, her pure face now showing an unusual stubbornness. And what do you mean it doesn't matter? If two people are together, how can liking each other not matter? I quietly looked at her. What exactly are you trying to say? Katerina pressed her lips together, her eyelashes trembling gently. She seemed both incredibly nervous and incredibly impulsive. Word by word, she said, I like you, Mario. Don't you know that? The silence around us was so deep you could hear someone's heartbeat. I tilted my head slightly and gave her a small smile. I know now. So what? What difference does it make? Katerina's face showed shock, as if she hadn't expected me to respond like this. Katerina, I'm almost 30. I don't have the interest or energy to play those so-called love games anymore. My voice was calmer than I expected. I had a relationship that lasted 9 years. It hurt me deeply. I can't take that kind of chaos again. You're different. You're only 22, well-educated, have a good job, and you're beautiful. What kind of guy wouldn't you want? Why waste your time on me? Katerina's voice was hoarse. Just because I'm a few years younger than you, my feelings mean nothing to you. How do you know I'm just playing around? You don't know anything. You. Ding. The elevator door opened. Her voice abruptly stopped. I took a step back, walked out of the elevator, and said softly, Katerina, the last woman who promised to stay with me forever wasted 9 years of my life. I don't have the energy to get to know someone from scratch and go through all that again. Katerina seemed like she wanted to reach out and grab my hand, but when she heard what I said, her movements froze. There was a look in her eyes that I couldn't quite understand, but I couldn't, nor did I dare, look any longer. Pretending to be casual, I shrugged and turned away. Goodbye. Chapter 12. Hey, Mario, what's going on with you and Katerina? During lunch, Lucas lowered his voice and asked, Nothing's going on. Why are you asking? Lucas nodded his head towards the other side of the room. Katerina used to always eat with us, but now, what's up with that guy? I instinctively turned around and saw a tall, slender guy standing across from Katerina. Katerina, can I sit here? It was Elias, the new, trendy guy at the company. He worked in another department, so we hadn't crossed paths much. I only recognized him because on his first day, he drove a Porsche to work. More importantly, everyone knew he was chasing Katerina. Katerina glanced at him, her tone indifferent. It's the company cafeteria. You can sit wherever you want. Anyone could see she was turning him down, but Elias didn't mind. He raised an eyebrow with a smile and sat down. So I'll take that as a yes. Lucas nudged my arm. Guys like him are pretty hard to resist, right? I bet it's only a matter of time before he wins over Katerina. I turned my attention back to my phone and kept texting. Lucas, unimpressed, asked, "Who are you texting, that you're so busy?" I waved my phone. "It's that girl I told you about. My mom's friend's daughter. We're meeting for lunch this weekend." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "The one who started off by asking about your car, house, and savings. Meeting her won't hurt. Besides, it's normal for someone going on a blind date to ask about these things." "Hey, Katerina, are you done eating?" Elias's surprised voice came from behind, following Katerina as she walked away. "I don't like the cafeteria food either. How about we order takeout? What do you feel like eating?" "No need." Katerina walked past me, while I looked down at my phone, reading the time and place the blind date had just confirmed. I replied, "Got it." On the weekend, I arrived 15 minutes early at the meeting spot, only to run into Susan and Damien, who I hadn't seen in a while. They seemed to be picking out phones but had gotten into an argument. Damien's face showed irritation. "This phone doesn't even cost that much, and it only broke because of your mom last time. If you don't want to spend the money, I'll just buy it myself." "Who are you trying to impress with that attitude?" Susan's face looked uncomfortable. "You just got a new phone 3 months ago. You could have it repaired." "I'm not saying I don't want to spend the money, but my mom is sick, and we have expenses piling up everywhere. So now you're blaming me." Damien sneered. Susan took a deep breath. "That's not what I meant. I'm just saying we can wait until." "Wait, do you think I'm as stupid as Mario?" Damien laughed coldly. "Come on, lady. If you don't have money, stop pretending you can afford love. What's the point of acting like someone you're not? And by the way, Mario's probably living the good life now, dating some young, pretty girl. Why would he waste his time with you?" Smack. Susan slapped him hard, trembling with anger. "Shut up." Damien's face darkened. "You think you can treat me like that? Susan, you're no prize either. The only reason Mario liked you was because he was blind. Who else would put up with you?" Susan's chest heaved as her face flushed with red and white patches. People around us began to stare. Susan finally seemed to realize what she had done. She glanced up and saw me, panic flashing in her eyes. "Mario." I turned away, moving with the crowd towards the escalator, ignoring the noisy scene behind me. Watching them, I felt no emotion at all. Instead, one thought crossed my mind. When did I get a girlfriend? As for that so-called girlfriend, she probably already had a new boyfriend by now, didn't she? Chapter 13. "So, your house isn't fully paid off." The woman sitting across from me forced a smile. "Then, after we get married, I'd have to help pay the mortgage too." Suppressing my discomfort, I smiled. "Don't worry, my salary is enough to cover the mortgage on my own." She frowned. "But that would be too much pressure. Our quality of life would probably decline after marriage." I stared at my teacup, considering when it would be polite to end this meeting. She kept talking. "Mr. Zhao, don't get me wrong. I'm not after your money. I just think, since we're both serious about marriage, we should discuss these things. How about adding my name to the house deed? And you could also write a promissory note to hand over your salary in the future." I stood up. "Sorry, I don't think we're compatible." She furrowed her brows. "Mr. Zhao, at your age, can you really afford to be this picky?" This blind date was officially a failure. That woman had it all figured out. Lucas slapped me on the shoulder. "Our Mario is good looking and makes money. If she had Katerina's looks, maybe it'd be worth keeping her around." "Stop it." I snapped him out of his fantasy. Lucas grinned. "Forget it. She's not worth it. How about we go play a murder mystery game?" "What?" I wasn't too interested, but Lucas begged me, saying it was an excuse to pursue a girl, so I finally agreed to join him. When I saw that Katerina was there too, I shot Lucas a glare. "This was your idea of nobody else coming?" Not only was Katerina there, but Elias had also followed her. Wherever she went, she was always the center of attention. Aside from glancing at me when we first received the script, she didn't interact with me again. When she wasn't smiling, her expression was distant, and even Elias didn't dare to get too close. The plot was a school bullying scenario. While searching a classroom for clues, there was a sudden bang and the lights went out. The room plunged into darkness. Immediately, the girl's screams filled the air. My heart sank, and for some reason, Katerina's reaction during the office blackout flashed in my mind. Instinctively, I turned to look for her. She was standing near the wall, her slender figure barely visible, completely still. I didn't know why, but worry crept into my heart, and I walked over. Katerina. I called her name in a low voice. Everyone else was caught up in the game and didn't notice this little corner. She had her head slightly lowered, as if she didn't hear me, but her body was trembling, like she was trapped in a nightmare. I hesitated for a moment and gently touched the back of her hand. Suddenly, her hand gripped mine tightly, and in the next second, a soft, warm body fell into my arms. I hesitated for a moment, then wrapped her tightly in my arms, gently stroking her head. Don't be scared. She held onto me tightly, her trembling body finally beginning to calm down. Suddenly, there was another bang, and the lights came back on. Mario, come quick, Katerina. Everyone turned and saw Katerina and me, still embracing in the corner. Chapter 14. Katerina instinctively pushed me away. Caught off guard, I hit the wall with a dull thud. Katerina seemed momentarily flustered. She took a step forward, as if to check on me, but with so many people around, she turned her head away. I can't remember how the rest of the event ended. All I recall are the occasional gossipy glances from others, filled with excitement and ambiguity. I felt a bit annoyed, but when I remembered Katerina's cold hands and helpless expression in the dark, I knew I would do the same thing again if given the chance. Mario. You've really lost your mind. You swore not to get involved with Katerina, and now what? On the way back, Lucas cautiously studied my expression, clearly dying to ask something. Mario, you and Katerina, she's a little afraid of the dark. I cut him off, then added, one time when the power went out at the company, she didn't seem to react well, so I guessed. As soon as I said it, I realized I had said too much. It sounded like I was trying to cover something up. Lucas coughed. I get it now. Our Mario is always so considerate, taking care of people by instinct. It's definitely not because you're worried about her, and certainly not because you like her. Me. Just as I was about to refute, I patted my pocket and realized my phone was missing. I turned back to get it, and as I was heading upstairs to the second floor, I heard Elias's voice. He doesn't even like you. I froze, holding my breath. After a moment, I heard Katerina's calm voice. That's none of your business. Elias sounded anxious. Katerina, you're several years apart. You come from completely different backgrounds, and to him, you're just a fling. Katerina let out a soft, self-deprecating laugh. I wish. Elias fell silent. Katerina added, don't bother me anymore. Even if he doesn't like me, that's my problem. With that, Elias slammed the door and left. Katerina turned and started walking in my direction. I didn't have time to hide, so we ran right into each other. She looked surprised to see me. I quickly explained. I left my phone here. Her expression remained calm as she approached and pulled a phone from her pocket. I was just about to bring it to you. Here. I took it and tried to make small talk. Thanks. But next time we play something like this, it's better to make sure of the situation first. You never know. She lowered her head slightly, staying silent for a while, then smiled self-deprecatingly. If I didn't come, how could I see you? Chapter 15. My heart started pounding uncontrollably again. Before, she had kept her feelings hidden and never confessed, so I could pretend not to know. But now, what's with these kids today, being so straightforward? I felt a wave of frustration. I wanted to leave immediately, but after hearing what she had said to Elias, my feet wouldn't move. Katerina. I took a deep breath. I thought I made myself clear that day. Katerina paused, then said softly, I know. But you heard what I said just now, didn't you? I clenched my phone tightly, keeping my voice steady. Katerina. This is going to cause problems for people. Elias was right. I don't like you. No matter what you say or do, I still won't be able to like you. Stop wasting your time on me. It's not worth it. Whether it's worth it or not isn't for you to decide. Katerina interrupted, her gaze unwavering and stubborn. You're not my boss. Why should you control me? I was stunned, momentarily speechless, unable to continue the conversation. I turned to leave. Katerina followed behind. She was walking slowly, more composed than me, making it seem like I was the one running away. After a while, she suddenly asked, Mario, why did you come back to look for me earlier? My eyelids twitched, but I didn't answer, quickening my pace. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, a girl approached, smiling as she greeted Katerina. Hey, Ire, how was today? Her tone was familiar, clearly a close friend. The key detail, this young girl was the owner of the murder mystery venue. She knew Katerina. I stopped abruptly, turning to look at Katerina in disbelief. You did this on purpose. The girl glanced between the two of us, hesitating. Katerina told her, it was great, then pulled me by the wrist and led me out the door. The cool night breeze snapped me back to reality. The emotions churning inside me were uncontrollable. and I couldn't help but raise my voice. Katerina, I'm asking you, did you plan this? Yes. Katerina let go of my hand, her gaze steady as she slowly smiled. I did it on purpose. Her admission was so direct that I didn't know how to continue. I did it, and I admit it. She leaned in, her eyes locking onto mine as she asked, word by word, do you dare? I took half a step back, but she followed, closing the distance, her eyes twinkling like stars. Do you dare to tell me why you came back to find me? Chapter 16. At that moment, I couldn't bring myself to look into her eyes, nor could I answer her question. In the long silence, Katerina's lips slowly curled into a smile. You like me? Her smile spread across her face, her tone so confident. You were just worried about me, weren't you? My face grew hot, and stubbornly, I lifted my head and admitted, yes, you're wonderful. It's hard not to like you. Before Katerina could respond, I quickly added, anyone would have a hard time not falling for such a beautiful and sweet girl. After all, I'm only human. But Katerina, we can't be together. The smile on Katerina's face faded as she quietly watched me. I pushed forward, as if afraid I wouldn't have the courage to say this later. You're amazing. But that's the problem, you're too amazing. I don't deserve you. I'm flattered that you like me, but that's it. One day, you'll meet someone more suitable, someone who loves you more. Why didn't it work out with the woman you met on your last blind date? Katerina suddenly asked. I was caught completely off guard. Why was she bringing that up? That has nothing to do with you. Of course it does. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache coming on. Katerina, this isn't something I can explain in just a few words. But it seemed like Katerina either didn't hear me or simply didn't care. She continued, your ex-girlfriend broke her promise and fell for someone else. But I'm not like her. I only like you. Even though I had already heard her confession, I had to admit that this direct approach was hard to deal with. I'll learn to do whatever you like, and I'll avoid anything you dislike. Katerina's expression was determined. And besides, I won't find anyone more suitable or anyone I'll like more than you. I took a deep breath. How do you know? I just know. Katerina's eyes sparkled as she lowered her voice. Because I've liked you since I was 17. Chapter 17. My mind went completely blank. The impact of Katerina's words was overwhelming. It took me a long time to find my voice again. But I didn't even know you back then. Do you remember 5 summers ago? In the 5D Experience Theater in Area C, when there was a technical malfunction? I was stunned. You were there too. That time, I had originally planned to go with Susan, but she canceled at the last minute, not wanting to waste the tickets. I went by myself. Halfway through the 5D movie, it suddenly stopped, and the staff came in to apologize, saying there had been an equipment failure and they couldn't continue. They offered us free tickets as compensation. I was already in a bad mood because Susan had bailed on me, and this only made it worse. I had no interest in going back another time. I remembered. Was that you sitting on my left? The theater wasn't big, and there weren't many people there that day. A girl had sat to my left, but because it was so dark, I only remembered that she was slender. I didn't get a good look at her face. When the movie stopped and everything went dark, the staff asked us to leave. That's when I noticed the girl to my left hadn't moved at all. Sensing something was off, I gently tapped her shoulder. Hey, we're leaving. She snapped out of her daze and looked up at me. I have mild claustrophobia. I usually avoid places like theaters, but that time, I was too curious and went anyway. I didn't expect. Katerina's words left me speechless for a long time. So, we had met before. But it was so dark then, I couldn't see your face clearly. How did you recognize me? Your voice, Katerina said, her ears turning slightly red as she lowered her head. Her voice softened. And, you always have this faint mint scent on your clothes. I've been using the same detergent for years. Wait, does Katerina have the nose of a bloodhound? Katerina looked back at me, her eyes clear and bright. If it weren't for you that day, Anyway, liking someone has never required a reason. Even before I knew your name. Before I knew what you looked like, or who you were, I had already started liking you. She bit her lip. I remember you were looking down at your phone the whole time. I guessed you had a girlfriend, so I didn't think too much about it. But later, I saw you again on the subway, and you were single. So, why not give me a chance? If others can have a chance, why can't I? Yeah, why can't she? That surge of emotion finally broke free. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her, because I like you, Katerina. I held her hand tightly, my heart pounding out of my chest. It's not that you can't have a chance, it's that only you can. She blinked in surprise, and then pure joy lit up her eyes as she threw her arms around me, returning the kiss. As for the so-called differences between us, they didn't matter anymore. None of it mattered. It was just about the right you and the right me, finally in love on the same wavelength. Chapter 18. I ran into Susan again 3 months later. Seeing her standing outside my building irritated me. How did you find out where I live? When Susan saw me, her eyes lit up, but even so, She couldn't hide her exhaustion. Mario, she murmured, I've missed you. I kept my eyes on my phone. Katerina had texted that she was almost here. Susan took 2 steps closer. Mario, I've broken up with Damien. Can we start over? What on earth was she talking about? I looked up at her. Frowning, she bit her lip. I've figured it out. The one I truly love is you. Ever since we broke up, I've been thinking about you every day. Mario, 9 years is a long time. You've become a part of my life. I can't live without you. Please, give me another chance. Okay. I had heard recently that Damien had blasted her and her mom all over social media, completely cutting ties with her, and now she was coming to me. Do I look like a fool? Sorry, I interrupted her. My girlfriend just arrived. Susan stared in shock as a Mercedes pulled up. When she saw Katerina step out of the car, her expression turned even more incredulous. Katerina glanced at her briefly, not breaking stride as she approached me. Tilting her head with a smile, she asked, Did you wait long? I shook my head but couldn't help whispering, Why the big entrance? It wasn't until I got together with Katerina that I realized she came from a much wealthier family than I had thought. This girl had her own family business but chose to work at our company. I guess that's what having money to burn looks like. Katerina's eyes sparkled. Today's special. Susan suddenly called out, Stop pretending. I know you're Mario's colleague, not his girlfriend. Katerina blinked. You're right. I'm not his girlfriend. Susan's face lit up with joy. I knew it. Mario was just trying to make me jealous. I'm his fiancée, Katerina said with a bright smile. Susan's expression froze instantly. Katerina wrapped her arm around mine, staking her claim. Please stop bothering my fiancé. He doesn't like it. Got it? On our intertwined hands were the wedding rings I had just bought. Today was the day we were going to register our marriage. Honestly, I thought it was too soon. But Katerina acted quickly. After just a month of dating, she had already accompanied me back to my hometown to meet my parents. She charmed them with her words, and they instantly sided with her, starting to push for the wedding. By the 2nd month, she had introduced me to her parents, and as it turned out, her mother was a former client of mine, making our families already somewhat familiar. By the 3rd month, Katerina had bought all kinds of little things and redecorated our home in the style she liked. So, just like fast-forwarding a timeline, we went straight to the wedding stage. Susan looked at our tightly clasped hands and the wedding rings, as if she had suffered a huge blow. Her face went pale, and after a long moment, she covered her face and slowly crouched down. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her voice was hoarse, but I didn't feel anything. I gave Katerina's hand a gentle tug and smiled. Hey, little classmate, time to go. Katerina blinked, then smiled brightly. Okay, let's go.